This is part 4 of Holistic Education, Holistic Learning Theory. This talks about the new paradigm. A paradigm is a way of viewing the world, a structure or a theoretical perspective upon which you see the world and make decisions about it. First of all, this idea of balance and wholeness in this new paradigm, this holistic paradigm, I just want to cover it. It's not either or, but in holistic education, there's a balance between group and individual process, between the content and the process of learning, between knowledge and imagination. We tend right now to just focus on knowledge, and rational thinking versus intuition. Yes, intuition is important in some of the most, is integral in some of the most important human innovations. Logic and emotion. We are emotional beings as well as logical. Assessment's important, but so is instruction and learning. We have a curriculum, but so are students' needs and interests and passion. Art and science, just as important. Strategies and techniques, and your vision, your ideas. The outer objective world, but the inner subjective world as well. Not either or. Critics sometimes of holistic education say, oh, it's all touchy-feely. You're just that kind of liberal out there. Well, actually, no. We seek balance and wholeness. Traditional education seeks unbalance and halfness. We want wholeness. We are whole human beings. Technical teaching, yes, there's a technical aspect, but reflective teaching as well. How did it go? Does this align with my philosophy, my beliefs, my values? Yes, structure, but both as teachers and learners, there needs to be some freedom, some open-endedness to our teaching and learning. Student requirements, but student choices as well. Choice is one of the greatest motivators, whether you be a teacher or a student. Balance and wholeness. The new paradigm. The old paradigm was a factory that's been in operation for more than 100 years at the turn of the last century, when factories came of age and they were the thing in society. Our schools were built on them, that students began to march down this 13-year conveyor belt, and the same parts were added to all the students at the same place, in the same way. Maybe if you are a more able learner, maybe more parts were added. If you're a less able learner, you were put on a slower conveyor belt, thinking that you'd catch up somehow. Kooky thinking. In this old paradigm, special needs learners were seen as defective parts on the conveyor belt. Obviously, I don't agree with this. Instead of capitalizing on student strengths, what they can do, their special ways of seeing their different types of intelligence, we looked at what they could not do, and we drilled them on what they could not do, so they could not do it even more. That doesn't make sense. Teachers were seen as assembly line workers. They were told what parts to add. They could not be creative. That's more the case today, by the way, than it was 20 years ago. Teachers, we want creative, intelligent teachers, but we certainly don't want them to be creative and intelligent in deciding what and how to teach, do we? That would be giving up too much control. And we have to have control of the educational machine. Sorry, off on a standard. In the new paradigm, we have standards, but we don't insist on standardization. Standardization is the same. We want all schools to have these test scores and to do this and that. The same. Teachers are not the same. Students are not the same. How could we possibly insist that we have this standardization? Human beings are unique and uniquely unique. That's what makes us human beings. We're not rubber ducks floating down the stream. Know this. Grade levels. It's an abstraction. It was put together for the management of the herd as it moved through the system. There's not something sacred about grade levels. They don't really exist in reality. The new paradigm is more aligned with a cyber paradigm or quantum physics. in that things don't move in lines, in that everything is connected at the quantum level. We don't have these categories, these boxes, these boundary lines that don't exist. And learning does not happen in lines. We don't have tabula rasa, blank tablets to fill up. Learning is making these connections like you do when you go to the internet, how one thing connects to other. You learn things at higher and higher level. You touch things just like you're not going to get this holistic education idea in a line. You're not going to touch it once and go, oh, I've got that idea. You're going to touch parts of it and you're going to come back to it, hopefully, and see it from different perspectives. In this new paradigm, if I were the Grand Poobah, there would not be grade levels, but multi-age classrooms. You'd have a definite body of knowledge and set of skills, but students would act more like in real life where there'd be conversation and a lot of natural learning going on. In this new paradigm, you would not have these shopping mall schools, these huge impersonal places, but you'd have smaller schools. And you'd have more community, more relationships. And there's actual research to show that smaller schools, smaller classes with less fragmentation, maybe less specialists, actually costs less and enhances learning. The purpose in this new paradigm of education, this magical place, when people get away from this crazy hyper testing mentality. Why do we test so much? Because people don't know any better. And that's where you come on. Is there learning without a test? Certainly there is. Don't get me going. But the purpose then in this new paradigm, this holistic education paradigm, and we're going to get back there someday. It may be 2 years, it may be 20, it may be 200, but we are going to get back there, gang. The way we're doing education now, completely wrong. We are de-educating our students. Anyway, the purpose is to develop human beings in this new paradigm who have the knowledge and skills to fully develop, to actualize who they are as a human being, and to be able to act upon their world in ways that nurture self, others, and the environment. That is the purpose of education. Not to create a new set of worker bees, not to create this natural, nationalistic curriculum where we have better types of this citizen or that citizen to create groups that separate. It's to think globally in terms of a global community. All right, the new paradigm, holistic education.